Andy Burnham, you're a disgrace. You're going to be voted out. The people of Manchester have had enough of your nonsense. I'll tell all of you, you're a disgrace. Labour are a disgrace. Where's the £36,000, Andy?
A tense sidewalk in Greater Manchester becomes a sudden stage for a political explosion. A working-class British lad steps directly into the path of Metro Mayor Andy Burnham, delivering a scathing warning that leaves the politician frozen. This raw confrontation, where a citizen called a powerful leader in national disgrace, has shattered the internet, capturing a boiling fury that millions feel but rarely get to voice directly to the political elite. If you want to stay updated on accountability and the hidden truths behind the political elite, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel right now. To understand this showdown, we have to look at the massive power dynamic at play. Andy Burnham is the mayor of Greater Manchester, a veteran politician who has crafted a reputation as a champion for ordinary working-class people against the out-of-touch elite in Westminster. But to many residents living under his administration, that folk hero image has completely fractured under the weight of escalating local crises, failing public infrastructure, and institutional neglect. But here's where things get disturbing. While the media often paints a picture of a loved local leader, a massive undercurrent of public resentment has been quietly building. Everyday citizens are dealing with rising living costs, failing transport, and skyrocketing crime. When a politician claims to represent the working class while living a life of privilege, a dangerous disconnect forms. This confrontation was a direct result of the citizen finally snapping after watching a powerful official walk through their community.
Where's your 36 grand that you put on your expenses when you were an MP? £36,000 of taxpayers' money went on you.
Andy, can you...
Yeah.
Hi, mate.
Hi, mate.
Can you tell us what you did with the £36,000 on your expenses form that you currently got a claim for? There was an expense that you have. It was on the expenses form last time on one of your claims. There was an item for £36,000. Okay, all right. Well, it's on the expenses, so I can bring that.
Seemingly immune to the consequences of his failures, the chronological timeline of events leading up to this moment shows that public tension was already at a boiling point over controversial local policies and growing accusations of political self-interest. Rumors had intensified that Burnham allies were wargaming a challenge to national party leadership, using local communities as a temporary stepping stone for personal ambition. For many local residents, this calculated political maneuvering felt like an absolute betrayal. What happened next raised serious questions about the true priorities of the leadership. On the day the viral video was captured, Burnham was engaging in a media-friendly walkabout, surrounded by campaign staff. As he moved through a busy public area, a young British man in everyday working clothes completely bypassed a ring of handlers and stood directly in front of the mayor, refusing to let him pass without answering for his record.
And send it in an email to you if you want.
I don't have expenses in this job.
Well, no, this was when you were an MP. This isn't when you were mayor. There was one expense for £36,000.
I honestly don't. I have never bought anything, a single item for
£36,000.
No.
So you're saying on camera that you didn't have an expense for £36,000. There was one expense on your claim for £36,000 for an undisclosed item. What was that item?
I never spent £36,000 on one single.
Secondly, we've talked about the expenses. Secondly, what are you going to do about the 15% of all asylum seekers are going to be coming into Greater Manchester? What are you going to do as mayor to stop that?
Well, you know that because I spoke out about it. The only reason you know that figure is because I publicly, at the Combined Authority, and Andrew was there, said, while we will always play our part in welcoming people, Greater Manchester has historically been asked to do much more than anywhere else, much more, because some places don't take anybody at all. And I've said in pretty direct,
familiar, is that Ed Balls?
Pretty direct terms that we should have equal treatment.
Do you agree that the British people have a right to exist? Because I'm from an organisation called Patriotic Alternative, and we campaign for the rights of the indigenous population. And for me, the Tories, Labour, the Liberal Democrats, you're all standing by and facilitating the destruction of Western civilization. White people are becoming...
You go into a place that I just don't...
But you won't talk about white people becoming a minority in their own country. It's happening everywhere. I'm from Leicester originally. Okay, Leicester, Birmingham, Luton, Bradford, London...
is a nonsense.
It's not.
systematically disproven. It is a racist narrative that is not
So it's racist
true.
to want to protect your own people. So I was speaking to the mayor. I was speaking to the mayor. So to the mayor, do the British people have a right to exist? Do white British people have a right to exist in this country?
This is the part few people are talking about. As the confrontation intensified, the lad explicitly labeled Burnham a national disgrace, calling out a total betrayal of the working-class people who had trusted him. Burnham was forced to stand there, his face visibly tightening as the crowd recorded every word. The young man spoke with raw, authentic anger, demanding to know how a politician could look regular families in the eye when local public services are collapsing while the elite focus on internal party power struggles. But here's where things get disturbing. When you analyze the unedited footage, the sudden contradictions in the mayor's body language tell a far deeper story. Burnham has prided himself on being an elite communicator, but when confronted with the unvarnished rage of a single citizen, his usual talking points failed him. He attempted to deploy his standard defensive strategy, try and nod along and offer vague promises to discuss the issues later, but the British lad saw through the tactic and demanded immediate accountability right there on the street. Why did a brief interaction on a suburban street resonate so deeply with millions? The answer lies in the deep inconsistencies between what politicians promise and what they actually deliver once they secure immense institutional power. Critics pointed out that the confrontation perfectly highlighted a growing national sentiment that the political establishment has become entirely detached from the day-to-day struggles of the population, prioritizing public relations spin over genuine public service. This is the part few people are talking about. The underlying issues brought to light carry massive political, social, and economic implications. Economically, regions are facing staggering challenges, with local council budgets stretched to breaking points, causing vital community centers to close down. When ordinary people see millions funneled into high-profile administrative projects and branding campaigns, while their own neighborhoods suffer from visible decay, a profound sense of economic injustice takes root. Politically, this confrontation has occurred at the worst possible moment for the regional leadership, threatening to derail a carefully orchestrated national campaign. When a politician is actively trying to convince a country that they possess the vision to lead the nation, a viral video showing a working-class citizen calling them a national disgrace is a disaster. It forces the public to look critical at unfulfilled promises and rising debts left behind by charismatic leaders. The public reaction has been starkly divided. On social media, a massive portion of the public praised a young British lad for his immense courage, describing him as a working-class hero who had the bravery to say exactly what millions are thinking directly to a powerful politician's face. They argued that direct, peaceful confrontation is one of the few tools left for ordinary citizens to demand real accountability. However, a completely different perspective emerged from political loyalists and mainstream commentators. They aggressively condemned the confrontation, labeling it as a counterproductive stunt that bordered on public harassment. They argued that Andy Burnham has consistently worked under difficult financial constraints imposed by national government austerity, and that blaming a regional mayor for complex, systemic national crises is entirely simplistic. What happens next will completely depend on how the political establishment chooses to respond to this massive wake-up call. Security teams for high-profile politicians are already rewriting their playbooks to minimize unscripted interactions with the public. There are growing concerns within political parties that the specific style of direct, confrontational citizenship could become a rapidly growing trend across the entire country, impacting upcoming electoral elections and policy debates. This explosive confrontation has permanently stripped away the polished, untouchable facade of modern political power, leaving the public with a deeply unsettling reminder of the profound division that exists between the rulers and the ruled. Can a political system that relies so heavily on managed public relations ever truly repair its fractured relationship with a population that feels completely abandoned? What do you think about this confrontation? Was the lad completely justified in speaking truth to power, or did he go entirely too far? Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments section below.